I can't.
Perfect. Mr. Corey, you let me know now. We're ready? Perfect. At this time, I call Sampson County Board of Commissioners meeting to order and recognize Vice Chair Lee.
Good evening. At this time, I'm going to ask Ed Causey to lead our invocation.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and the opportunity to meet, to conduct the business of your people to better the life of the citizens of Sampson County. Heavenly Father, this has been a challenging year in Sampson County as well as the rest of the country. We understand that it is our faith in you and our belief in better things that has held us together. As we move forward into 2021, we would ask that continued guidance for each and every one of us. Help us to deal with all of the earthly challenges that we have and to enhance our faith in the things that will ensure us a heavenly, permanent life. Father, we also ask that you help us and guide us to not only conduct our personal lives in a way that meets the expectations of your kingdom, but help us to conduct the business of the county that perpetuates a good life on this earth and prepares all of us for further service. Amen.
Amen.
Susan Holder will lead us in the pledge.
Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Vice Chair Lee. Regarding the agenda, I have two walk-on items. I term them item 2C, Commissioner Godwin and the COVID vaccine, and item D, a happy birthday wish. With those amendments, is there a motion to approve the agenda as so stated?
I move that we approve the agenda as presented with the additions.
Second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you very much. Okay, item 1. Like to recognize David Clark and Wade Green for the presentation of the physical audit ending June 30, 2020. Welcome, Mr. Green.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, can you hear me or things?
Yes.
But anyway, the audit has been submitted to LGC. They finally accepted it, no changes. I'll let you read this at your convenience. I'll just go to my little presentation right here, kind of hit the high spots. With that being said, if you'll just flip over to page 2. It's basically the results of our single audit. Your compliance with requirements of OMB uniform guidance and the state single audit implementation act. You administered over $12 million in federal and state financial assistance during 2020. The results of compliance testing, you had 0 instances of non-compliance or 0 deficiencies, internal control. You had a clean audit as far as single audit is concerned. That's a good thing. Next page, financial highlights. Your assets and your deferred outflows of resources exceeded your liabilities and deferred inflows of resources by $51.8 million. Your total net position or net income, if you will, increased by a little over $2 million. Now that's full accrual with depreciation, et cetera. That's really not how you should see in your books, but that's the full accrual basis. That's the rest of my chart. The next page, your general fund, revenues and expenditures. Your revenues is $73.9 million, your expenditures at $74.8 million, for a net loss, if you will, $877,242 for the year. Last year you had a $319,000 income, if you will, versus a loss this year. Any questions on that graph?
What's that attributed to?
That's actually before debt and,
For what?
actually before debt and transferred to other funds, so.
We had transfers in debt service, and they changed that number. We actually had an overall, we had to do something.
Okay. The next page, your fund balance available. That's basically cash in bank after you pay your bills. At year end, you had $25.759 million versus $24.8 million last year. So you actually went up about $900,000 from last year. As far as cash is concerned, as you can see, the past 5 years, it's steadily been increasing. So it's a good thing. The next one's fund balance available as a percentage of expenditures. At year end, you were at 34.84%. So you basically got about 4 months worth of cash on hand. You were at 34.26. Most counties in the state is probably in that 25 to 30 range. So actually your fund balance available is in good shape. Any questions on your general fund?
Keep positive.
What now?
Keep it positive.
Yes. Next one, your water and sewer district 2. Your revenues at 2.4 million, your expenditures 2.2 million, or net income, if you will, 221,488. As you can see, the past 5 years, it's steadily been increasing, but you go over 200,000 for this year. Your fund balance available is failed 822,402. It was $1.1 million last year, so it fell basically 300,000. This one just shows, the previous graph just shows the water fund itself, not the capital projects, et cetera. They're in this one, so they're ones that kind of use up the cash. The fund balance available as a percentage of expenditures. You're at 33.14% at year end versus 46.93 last year. Like I said, those capital project funds pulling your cash down. So, but anyway, 25% is a good fund balance available, or actually a little less. For all in all, Water District 2 is in good shape at year end. The next one, Water and Sewer District 1. Your revenues, 823,000. Your expenses, 659,000. For net income, if you will, 163,539. Like I say, past 6 years, you've been having 70, 80,000, but this year it's up to 163,000. Actually got a little better. Your fund balance available, a little over $2 million versus $1,884,000 last year. You can see the past 6 years, it's steadily been increasing. So Water District 1's in great shape at year end. The percentage, 248.66%. So you got 2.5 years worth of cash on hand at year end. So another great, that's one LGC likes, so in great shape. The next one, just your total reconciled cash in bank for your governmental funds, 36.6 million. For your enterprise funds, a little over 3.1 million at year end. You can see cash has steadily been going up, so you're in good shape as far as cash is concerned. The next one, your long-term debt. Your governmental funds, $135.9 million at year end versus 12.8 million in your business type. They've all been steadily decreasing over the past four years anyway. Most of this includes, your retirement payable, the elders part of retirement, compensated absences, et cetera, are in this, not only just long-term debt, as far as installment notes, et cetera. So anyway, it's decreasing. The next one, your tax levy. You're at 40.891 million this year versus 39.2 million last year. See what, about $1.6 million increase in your tax billing from last year. You can see the past 6 years, it's steadily been going up. The next chart, your tax valuation. You at 4.9 billion at year end versus 4.7 billion last year. So you got what, almost $2 billion increase, tell me 200 million increase from last year. The next one, your collection rate, you're at 97.23% versus around 97.81 last year. So somewhere in the 97s to 98 is probably average for the counties. And that's kind of it. I mean, I guess every chart here looks good. Nothing bad to say. It's steadily been increasing. Any questions, comments?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Green. Anything else?
No, everything's good. LGC's got it. Raleigh's happy at the moment. Let's put it that way.
Excuse me?
I said Raleigh's happy. The local government commission. They've had it. They accepted it. So they're happy at the moment.
So if we pass it, it's not subject? Okay. Well, that's good. Are there any questions for Mr. Green regarding the audit or any? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the audit?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Green.
Thank you.
Mr. Clack, thank you. Appreciate your guidance. On the audit and the budget process. And speaking of the budget process, due to COVID, it was your council and Mr. Collins's council, we do a step budget to watch the effects of COVID, which I think we all agree we've been very, very fortunate. But it is that time we need to review those mid-year adjustments found on 193, page 193 to 217. Mr. Clyde, would you present, please?
Yes, sir.
Those mid-year.
After having gone through the estimated revenues that we collected last year, when COVID started about in March, we started noticing an effect on our revenues. And of course, as we always do, we monitor our revenues and expenditures closely, but of course we had to take special interest when all this started based on what we were seeing across the state, especially in our sales taxes and the fact that the state gave the citizens basically a extra 5 months to pay their vehicle taxes. They basically didn't bill for about 5 months or billed, but didn't enforce any kind of collections. Based on our audit, based on what we've seen to date, I'm very pleased to say that Sampson County seemed to have come through this part of the downturn very well. We did add to our fund balance. our sales tax was not affected the way the statewide, the way other counties in the state. If in several of the months between March and what we collected in March through June, the state had a downturn in overall collections statewide. But in all of those months, Sampson County has had a slight increase at least, or sometimes a very good increase in our sales tax. So using those numbers and the fact that our tax collection rate in the budget ordinance, we estimated we might only collect 93% of our levy. But of course, we finished out the year here, even accounting for some downturn in vehicle taxes at 97% total. So right now, what we've given you and presented you in this big budget amendment here accounts for about a 96% collection rate overall through year end. And based on what I've seen, going through our revenues, we've had our property taxes are coming in ahead of last year dollar-wise through November. I didn't look at December's yet, but we just got that in. We haven't posted the information yet, but through November, we're exceeding prior year collections at the same date by about $1 million. Prior year taxes collected are down by around $20,000. We are exceeding our collection rate for prior year taxes based on the revised budget by about 9%. So I think overall, looking at that and with the budget amendment, that we're trying to be kind of conservative in what we're doing based on the increases and decreases, with the exception of economic development, which you'll see next month. That one has to be done by itself. The total would be 4.9, almost $5 million in increased expenditures, supported by an estimated increase in property tax collections of about 1.4 million, sales taxes of $1 million, because we have to replace radios for public safety within the next 3 to 5 years. Motorola has come to us and offered us a better deal and a discount to go ahead and do it. They're willing to accept payment over 2 years, which will take advantage of that. That expenditure was almost $2.3 million just to replace all these radios. This should be that's why we're appropriating slightly more fund balance to help us with the payment for those radios. When the payments are done, we'll appropriate an additional $750,000 next year. When those payments are done, we'll go back down to our normal fund balance appropriated. There won't be any extra amounts in there. That's that is the largest expenditure I think that we added to this, but you do see there are several other things that will go in there. General fund debt service, of course, has helped pay for the radios. Public buildings, there was an extra $189,000 put in for maintenance needs. And for economic development next month, we'll be restoring that $250,000 economic development reserve to start that back up again. But that'll be next month. We did reinstate the capital reserve contributions based on the net amounts that we're not spending in maintenance. We put that back into our building reserves to make sure those were some of our most important items to make sure we got started back up. The other large expenditure, based on the amount of new revenues and the formula we had been going by in the past, the revenues that were eligible to be considered, which would not be any of the loan proceeds, basically, or the fund balance appropriated, basically just be the property taxes, sales taxes, and a few other ones. Allocating the school systems, the city and county school systems, 19.5% would be increasing the city schools $117,520, and the county schools $318,040. This brings the per pupil amount to $1,177 per student, or an increase of 4.3%. Using that same 4.3% increase, the community college would receive an additional $63,024. There were no changes to the school's capital outlay. The money or whatever extra money might come in the sales tax that we use to pay for that will just go into their reserve fund, and it'll be available to be spent in future years, next year, anything like that.
Now, you're giving us a review from July to today?
Well, as far as what what we've done is looking at our experience, spending and revenues, what we can increase the budget, what the budget would have been if we'd adopted it, if we didn't have COVID basically in July. But the information I'm giving you is what we anticipate we will collect totally in additional revenues.
Based upon what you've experienced?
Yes, sir. Based upon the fact we really, like I say, knock on wood, our COVID experience was not some of the other counties, has not been some of their COVID experience. So we've been real fortunate. Even with our sales tax, what I budgeted in sales tax is $228,000 less than we collected this year. So we're still trying to be conservative, because I would expect we'll get some little hiccup somewhere along the way. This month in sales tax we just got was not as good as last month. So I know there was a little something in there, but we've not had the experience that's been experienced statewide when they do the statewide averages from the Association of County Commissioners.
Are there other counties, are you aware of any other counties that are experiencing what we're experiencing? Is it, have you had any?
I've not, no, the ones I've had have been really, have seen their stuff, they have made more cuts, I think, than, have had to make some more cuts than I think we might have had to have made, than we have had to make. Because going through last year, we didn't have to make any real cuts. We monitored closely. Our department heads did a great job. I mean, we added $2 million to our fund balance, and even with the way everything else was going, we still added $2 million to fund balance. Some of that, of course, is the fact that we reserve funds for capital reserve. So we expect to make some money, but we went over and above that. And of course, we didn't use any of our fund balance, which was good. That led us to believe that these numbers would be good for us to use to increase the budget to get us through the year, because most of the departments, we had increases to our health insurance. We had increases to retirement rates, none of which were budgeted in our budget. So those had to be accounted for, which is some of the increases that went through on some of these departments here. So we do expect that. And of course, having the COVID money, the CARES Act money, is helping the county to pay for certain salaries and certain costs that otherwise we would have to pay for. Like the number I've got for finance increase was $98,000. All of that was Hurricane Isaiah. That could easily have a COVID right beside of it, paying for overtime or paying for supplies especially, or equipment or things like that. But the CARES Act money, of course, has helped us get through that.
So are we more on the conservative side?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. Yeah, we are. I mean, like I say, we finished the year on tax collection rate at 97%. So I think even going down to 96, I do think we will collect over 96, but even if we're going to collect it, I didn't want to put it in there to spend it. Sometimes we'll spend stuff, just like with the radios. You know, it's unfortunate we got to pay almost $2.3 million for radios for the county, but our current technology is not going to be useful, and we just have to replace them. So
That's mandated by the state.
yes. But it's going to be the only way, and it's going to be the only way to communicate here in about either 3 or 5 years. It's going to be the only thing you can use to communicate. our existing radio technology will no longer work.
Right.
And we've been hearing about it from the
The last
sheriff
2 years.
the last 2 or 3 years.
I've been hearing about it too.
Yeah, so I
It
did,
makes me
well,
wonder, is it gonna be obsolete? In 2 or 3
Time we
years, the
get
way,
it going.
the way technology changes.
I hope they last as long as our current ones lasted, we'll be okay.
Yeah.
But
Uh-huh.
with nowadays, you really never know. You really don't. And there are no, I don't think, yeah, there was no new people in here. There was adjustments for salary stuff, but no new positions were in here that I can remember right now. I don't think there was, no. Anything else?
I'm good.
All right.
It has come to my attention that in the county, we're having some serious issues with the beaver population and that our funds have been exhausted on that. And I would like to add $20,000 to the budget amendment to help us control these, the beaver situation.
Okay, we'll just shake that out of the commissioner's contingency then and move that into cooperative extension. I think currently all we budget is $4,000 for the state person to, and that usually goes pretty quick. So we can easily do that if you'd like to pass it that way.
Well, that was a motion.
Well, we can roll it all into, I spoke with Joel, we can roll it all into the budget amendment.
Well, perfect. Okay. Are there other questions or comments regarding the budget for the next 6 months? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the budget amendment with the suggested from Vice Chair Lee to approve that and to schedule a public hearing for the economic development portion February 1st?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you, commissioners. At this time, I'd like to, and David, thank you so much for your hard work on the budget side and keeping us in good shape. We have been blessed through COVID's a terrible thing, but we've been blessed. We've been blessed here in Sampson County for sure. So, Mr. Reynolds, action item 2A. Tell us some good news.
Back in October, I came before the board and asked for permission to install 2,500 feet of water line on Green Path Road with, and we had 27 taps committed at that time, and that which is really high rating of 57.4, and the board approved $100,000. And when we went out to Green Path and we started knocking on doors and collecting the money, some more people came out and they wanted to have water as well on that road. So I would like to ask the board to approve extending the water line on Green Path extra 700 feet, and that's going to pick up 3 new customers. And also on Godwin Lake Road, which is an adjacent road, we didn't have any interest in the beginning, but when we started knocking on doors, we had 4 people on that road that want water, that need water, want water. And for 1,800 feet, an 1,800 feet in installation, they can be served by water as well. So the rest of the people on that road were not interested. Once we saw the customers or the residents start showing interest, we knocked on every door on those roads. Well, not we, I knocked on every door on those roads. So I would ask the board to approve 700 feet extra length on Green Path and 1,800 feet on Godwin Lake Road. The rating on Green Path was originally 57.4, and when you add the 700 feet and the new customers, the rating's still 50, which is 5 times what we require as a minimum. So that's the most populated water per mile in the county in that one, on that one road. On Godwin Lake Road, the rating would be 11.4. So it is more than the 10. But when you add these two roads together, you still got a total score of 35.8. So you would have 3.5 times what is the minimum. So that's a really good investment, and you'd have about an 8-year payback. So, so the board, I'd ask the board to approve the length, and the extra cost would be $50,000 extra dollars. It'd be $150,000 total. I negotiated with the engineer where he didn't charge any more to add or to design and survey Galvin Lake Road. He's going to actually do all that for about the same money. It was really a little bit less. So he's offered to do 2 roads for $2,000 less than he originally offered after I negotiated. So,
So, Mr. Reynolds, just for clarification, the break-even requirement is 10 residents per mile.
yes, sir.
And this one, when it's all rolled into one, is 36
Yes,
per mile
yes, sir.
when it all loops together.
That's correct.
And what is the people on Godwin Lake Road and the extra 700 feet, what would, if they were not rolled into this package, what's the possibility that they could ever have water?
I don't see it ever coming to fruition. It's a one-shot deal, because when you compute in each time they do an engineering design, the permitting and the surveying, it's a set fee of about $29,000, $30,000. It doesn't matter if it's a mile, half a mile, 500 feet. So now's the time to do it if we're going to do it. It won't never, I feel like it won't never be justified for those 2 extensions if we don't do it now. If we can group it together, that's our best bang for the buck.
Because they butt to the Johnston County line.
Right.
So they're never gonna have a shot to come
Right.
across there, Johnston County. And I mean, that 700 feet, I mean, you can literally, is a stone's throw
Right.
on both roads to Johnston County.
Yeah, the residents down at Johnston County were adamant that they did not want to hook on at this time. And Johnston doesn't have water on that end. This is to get us just beyond Galvin Lake Road. The people would do,
Well, you went as far, I mean, you
Oh,
said you knocked on every door.
I
You
did.
went as far as anybody had
Yeah.
interest.
they had deeper wells down toward the Johnston County line, and they were not interested in tying on right now.
But you and your diligence by knocking on those doors, I mean, it was much appreciated. And again, that's the only way that, rolling the people that wanted it in, the only way they ever get, because that's just that. So,
To have a score of 36, we don't have that anywhere in any part of the county, even subdivisions.
that's the highest score.
That's the highest score in the county.
Okay, well, I don't guess anybody wanted my editorial, but I threw it on in there.
No, I
So,
thought you did well. This is one of the few things that pays for itself. And, with the information he's given us, it's a no-brainer. I don't know how we can not do it. So I move that we, authorize the design, permitting, and installation of water lines, for Green Path Road, Godwin Lake Road, utilizing the water reserve funds, contingent upon the petitioners agreeing the stated requirements.
Second.
all those in favor? Oh, you have a unanimous consent from Sampson County Board of Commissioners, Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you.
And Luke, before you go now, we all understand the dedication it took to go to everyone on that road after hours when they were home from work. And I don't believe it was all in, as I understand it, it took multiple trips on your part.
Yes, sir. It took several, but we got it.
That dedication is unbelievable.
Chairman?
Yes.
Pardon me.
Yes, Mr.
The other thing is he talked the engineers on a set fee all down another $2,000.
More for less.
That's more for less, after they'd already agreed. So that's great.
It is, it is. I was wondering if you were gonna hold classes on how that was done. I'd like to attend.
Just persistence.
Thank you for what you
Thank
do.
you.
Thank you.
Great job.
Perfect. Thank you, Commissioner, so very, very much. It's, that's the, makes the service worth it all when you can have, positive wins like that. So thank you very much. Vice Chair Lee, appointments.
Okay, I have 3 tonight. I move that we appoint Commissioner L. Lee to the Health Advisory Board.
Second.
All in favor? And to the Sampson Regional Medical Center Board of Trustees, I move that we reappoint Lynn Carr and David Parker. I have a second.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, not as many as last time. Thank you very much. I'm finished.
Thank you so very, very much. Okay, and to my walk on, or to Commissioner Godwin's walk on item C, COVID vaccine. Commissioner Godwin. By all means. Wherever you're comfortable, sir.
Thank you, Chairman Wooten, and to the commissioners and to the board in Sampson County. What I'd like to state is a positiveness of what has been going on, and it has been great. While it's positive news that we have Pfizer and biotech vaccine coming out, one of the things that concerns me that not everybody in the community embrace this. And what the positive I want to do is to say that this vaccine would help Sampson County. Sampson County would be better. I believe that each commissioner is ready to take the vaccine. And I believe if many of our community people would be able to take this when it's available, we would get a cut down this virus. And that's one of the things that we are concerned about in Sampson County. We want to get out of the red. We want to get out of the orange. We want to get out of the yellow. We want to get better in Sampson County. And one way to do it is for all to be positive on getting this vaccine, that we may be able to get back to almost normal. Thank you. And we just pray that this county be better.
Thank you, Commissioner Godwin. You ain't got one of those vaccines in your pocket. I'm ready anytime now. Anybody got one? I'm ready.
I was gonna see if he's
I don't
pulling
think you get it in your arm anyway.
Well, now, here now. Here. Where should I be presenting?
I'm not going any further.
Well,
Thank you.
Commissioner Godwin, thank you for that. And I don't know, Commissioner Lee, do you have comments as well?
Except that I go along with Commissioner Godwin with this. And we just want everybody to be able to take the shot. I understand that a lot of people of color are afraid to take the shot. And we need to get some way that we can educate them on the shot and that it's safe and that they don't need to be afraid, because if a lot of people don't take it, it's not going to help us as much as it would if everybody took it. So there needs to be some kind of education within the county to let everybody know how safe it is.
Thank you, Commissioner Lee. I believe that concern transcends through the entire community. I don't believe it's one certain group. There's people that have expressed hesitation. So I appreciate your words. Commissioner Kivett or Vice Chair Lee, any comment?
I have one question. How many doses of the vaccine are available?
Right now, there's 2.
How many?
How many is available for our county?
For the county. I don't exactly know that number.
I don't know. We probably, do you know, Ms. Hunt?
We've received 2 shipments so far. As a matter of fact, one of them was today unexpectedly. So we've got 2 shipments of vaccines in. After speaking with the health department today, we are getting some public awareness information about the vaccine, beginning rolling that out.
Good.
We'll be working on a public education campaign. Given the changes that they made just last week on the protocols for eligibility, we do need to inform the public about that, and that will be part of our campaign. And then obviously right now we cannot begin, we do not have the vaccine in the order in which to give more definitive information right now about where persons can get the vaccine when it becomes more broadly available. We do expect to be able to offer that to you within about another week or so. It will likely be in the form of a mass vaccination clinic, not unlike our mass testing clinics, but we simply do not have enough information to be able to give more definitive information about how that would work. But we will begin to talk to people about how the various categories have shifted just a little bit to make it more broadly available to say the 75 and older, the 1B versus 1A. We're going to be moving in very quickly into the 1B category in the next week or so, and then of course moving on to 1C and then beyond that. But you'll begin to see much more information about that rolling out in the next week or so. And we do want to do a public information campaign.
Good.
Just to assure people about how the vaccine was developed, what the side effects are. For most people, there aren't any, but let the medical professionals speak as the learned sources about that, and community people who support it, make sure we get their voices heard out there, because people obviously will listen to those people they trust in the community. So we'll be hearing a lot more from us in the next few days.
Yeah, like I say, I'm ready, but after Commissioner Kitty's comment, I'll take it from anybody but him.
Have our first responders already received it, and medical staff?
The frontline healthcare workers were 1A. Obviously, paramedics, firefighters are close seconds to that. Without having the information in front of me, I'm reluctant to say whether that's 1A or 1B. But yes, they are in the first grouping.
So-
Whether it's 1A or 1B, I'm sorry, I do not have that with me.
So no one has gotten it yet?
No, we have begun.
Okay.
We have begun, but we did that last,
Some of the
But
doctors
it's
have
group
gotten it.
one,
I see.
it's group one.
Group 1A.
That's
Group 1A were the people who got our first.
frontline,
Frontline healthcare.
healthcare workers, first responders. I believe that's,
And doctors, some of the doctors.
The majority of what the doses that we administered last week were healthcare workers. And what some people do not realize is our health department is responsible for doing a lot of the providers as well, not just our staff, but other doctors that aren't perhaps going to get it at the hospital. Right now, the hospital and the public health department are the entities that have the vaccine. And it will become more broadly available to other entities. So right now, they're the only two who have it.
and I think that's Commissioner Godwin's point. A lot of us don't know, and we need to get it out.
Exactly.
That's
Right
right.
now, it's by appointments, there are scheduled appointments for those frontline healthcare workers and first responders. Because once you open a vial, there are only a certain number of doses within the vial, and you need to use the doses up so you don't waste any of that precious vaccine. So it's by appointment, so they can organize that. That's how we're working through it right now. Part of it's with frontline workers and local workers.
I'll go with you.
Okay, I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
I want to make sure you get it.
Yeah, I'm a little bit fearful of what that all really means, so. No, I'm picking at you, but it's not, I'm joking a little bit, but it's not to make light of. I mean, look, what countries have already been taking it for weeks on end? I mean, this concept of being, the fear of the unknown or not knowing what's going to happen. The genetics of this vaccine are different than any that's ever been, and people have been taking it in other countries. And I think the fear of not taking it is not wise to succumb to that. In my opinion.
It's good to know that people already taking it here at the hospital, and So that's good. Get that word out anyway.
Yes, sir.
Started.
Vice Chair Lee, any comments?
I'm good.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Godwin and other commissioners. How about my item D there? I'd like to wish David Clack a happy birthday. Today's his birthday.
Oh,
Mm.
and you spend it with us. Happy
Yeah,
birthday.
Happy birthday, Dad.
Happy birthday, as long as we don't have to sing.
No, no singing.
I don't think the
I don't
public would
sing.
like it. My part anyway.
Yes, that's not a gift the good Lord gave Clark, so. Who did?
Aw. Good to go. Way to go. Thank you for that.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. I regret I didn't get a buy a ticket to that show, so let me know where to purchase them next time, will you? David, now let's see, is it 35 or 36? That's pretty close. There you go. All right. Well, happy 36th birthday. All right, our consent agenda, is there anything on the consent agenda that any commissioner wishes to discuss or pull off? Hearing none, is there a motion for acceptance?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, so moving on through to the tax appeal is, I would make Mr. Causey, unless you specifically want to speak, I would make a motion that we forgive 50% of the penalty and for the tax appeal. Is there a second for that?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Kivett, so much. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you, Commissioners. Mr. Causey, it appears that we are looking a state of the county from you.
You're not going to get that quite, but I'm going to come close. I've got 5 things on my little short list that I would like to mention or talk with the board just about. Number one, I'd like to talk about the audit for just a minute. If you look at where we have been for the last few years and what we have done, I would say that the audit is a pretty good representation. I think the financial position of the county is extremely good compared to what it could be and what we have been through. And I think that is a credit to David and his staff. One of the things that we need to also recognize, and David would certainly do it if he were standing here, is in addition to David, he has put together a pretty good staff. And some of his people are quiet and don't say a lot. They just do their stuff. For example, he's got one in the back of the room, I think. Miss Stephanie Washington is our internal controls person, okay? And internal controls works with the departments on a variety of things that has to do with deposits and keeping up with money and whatever. And when you look at the audit, as much as I am impressed with the money that we have, there were no weaknesses or deficiencies noted, okay? I would tell you that in addition to David's staff, I think Ms. Washington has had a major contribution in that area. I'd be remiss if I did not mention his deputy finance officer, Melissa Burton, who does a heck of a job. But David has put together an extremely good team, and the team is only as strong as its leader. And so David gets all the kudos. Now, the thing I will tell you is David tends to get a swell head, and this is the last nice thing I will say about him until we get ready to approve the budget. Second thing I would mention publicly is I do think it's noteworthy to mention that Wanda Robinson's husband passed away in the last several days, and Wanda has been under a great deal of stress and strain with family issues as well as work. So she has been carrying a load. So hopefully our prayers will be with her. Relative to the new building, we're going to have the pre-bid conference on January the 13th, and then we're going to have the bid opening on January the 27th. And I think the way it was decided is we're not going to allow anyone to bid on the project that does not come to the pre-bid conference. So that will give us a pretty good indication of what we are doing.
What date is that again, pre-bid?
The pre-bid is going to be at 2 o'clock on the 13th in our conference room. And if you would like to come over, we'd be glad to have you. Get a pretty good idea of the numbers of people that hopefully we will have a crowd. And then the bidding will be at 2 o'clock on the 27th. And we will be moving very quickly thereafter. Hopefully things will be in a position that we can accomplish some things with getting any funding in place that we need. I've even sent an email before Christmas that I think I sent copies to y'all, and hopefully good things will come back from that when the legislature gets back. So we're proud of that. One of the challenges that we are facing, and I need to tell you, some of you in the next week or two will be calling me with people that probably are disappointed in the responses. Our environmental health group, I think we had 6 people working in that department. We are now down to 2. We had 2 people to retire and 2 people have taken positions in other counties for a variety of reasons. And at some point in time, we'll probably need to discuss some of those issues that we have. But we're down to 2. We have hired 1 person to come on board who is going to be excellent, but the person has no experience in environmental health. It's going to take a while to get him up to speed. So the only thing I can do is ask you for your forbearance, and we will work with this. This does not mean we're not going to take the request of the public very seriously, but we are going to have some challenges in meeting the needs until we get an organizational plan in place. And there has been a lot of attention given that in the last month, or last 2 or 3 years, but particularly in the last 6 weeks in trying to fill some of these positions. So we are working on that, and hopefully we're going to make some progress. The last thing I will tell you is I don't know whether I had mentioned it formally to everybody. If I did not, I got the Christmas blues, I guess. Sometimes you forget what you have said and what you have not. But our agent director, Laurie Sutton, retired in December. And quite frankly, I just don't remember if I notified you to tell you, and if I did not, I am sorry. But Sandra Kearns is going to be our acting agent director. And one of the things that we have done of late that we have found with the chairman's direction and participation is work, we have sort of hit the pause button on some of this. For example, when John Swope retired, we sort of went through a process of deciding what we wanted and how we wanted to approach it. And I think we've gotten some dividends. We did somewhat like that when Lynn Reynolds went into Public Works with some success. And so don't know what it will be, but we're going to hit the pause button for 30 days and give the employees time to give us some feedback on what we might want to do with aging. And then in the next 30 to 60 days, if there's any proposed changes, we'll come back and ask you for those. And that is all I've got at this point in time. And we're going to have a busy year because now that we've gotten through the budget amendment, in the next few weeks, we'll be starting on the budget. If we get the bids on the new building, we'll be into a construction phase on the new $18 to $19 million building. So we've got some things to keep some people occupied for a while. And we thank you for your help.
Yes, I would like for Ms. Washington to come forward and let us recognize her. If she's doing a good job as an employee, she need to be recognized at this time.
We'll give you the floor.
Thank you. Just wanted to say it's a pleasure to be working in finance under the leadership of David Clack, Mr. Causey. Just love Sampson County.
We thank you for the wonderful job that you're doing for the county.
No problem.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And now just hold on before you go now. So tell us one more time what your title is.
Internal auditor,
Internal audit. Now you used another word.
internal controls.
What?
Internal audit function is there to make sure that your internal controls are working the way you intend for them to work.
Right.
Yeah, that's the word, internal control.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you're in charge of internal control.
I am.
And so so you help keep us to that 0 exceptions and 0 in the audit.
Yes, sir.
That's at the end of the day, you make sure that no exceptions and that's well,
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you. 'Cause
Uh-huh.
I'm not, I'm gonna tell you now, I'm not, and I don't believe there's another commissioner that's a very big fan of having exceptions in audits. So thank you and keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lee. Internal controls, I love it. It's good. Okay. Mr. Causey, certainly all of us will have Ms. Robinson and her family in our prayers. Thank you for bringing that to us. And I encourage you and your staff to continue to build your team. That's appreciative of all y'all's hard work toward that. So thank you, sir. Anything from any commissioner? Okay. Well, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
So noted. So noted. So no one outside wanting to make a public comment. Okay. Okay, so now.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. There we go.